Right, so let's just start with the number. We're talking 400 to, what, $500 million?
Mm-hmm. $500 million.
I mean, that is just a staggering figure. And we're not talking about, a new fleet of stealth fighters or some secret missile program.
No, not at all. This is for back-end systems.
Wow.
We're talking about the digital plumbing that keeps the whole international security machine running.
It's a massive investment in what most people would probably call, boring IT.
Right. But when you actually dig into the source material we have today, it becomes really clear this isn't just an IT upgrade. It's more like a survival strategy.
Okay.
The scale of it, $500 million, that tells you they know the current system is just, it's reaching a breaking point.
And the source we're looking at is a sources sought notice. It's from Washington Headquarters Services, but it's for the Defense Security Cooperation Agency, the DSCA.
Mm-hmm.
This was posted back on December 12, 2025, and the window for companies to respond just closed in January. So we're kind of looking at the aftershocks here.
And we should be really clear for everyone listening. A sources sought notice is not a contract. Not yet.
Right.
It's market research. It's basically the government saying, look, we have a problem that's going to cost $500 million to fix. Who out there is actually capable of fixing it?
It's the vibe check before you propose marriage.
Exactly. They're testing the waters before they write a formal request for proposal.
So let's talk about the DSCA itself. They handle the security cooperation mission. That sounds a little euphemistic.
It does, but it's extremely tangible stuff. We're talking about arms sales, training foreign militaries, transferring defense equipment to allies.
Okay, so if the U.S. decides to send an air defense system to a partner country,
the DSCA is the engine room that makes it happen. They handle the logistics, the finance, the diplomacy, all of it to get that hardware from point A to point B.
they're the broker, the logistics hub.
Precisely. And what this document shows is that their engine room is, well, it's overdue for a total rebuild. They're basically admitting they can't do their job with the tools they have now.
And that's what really jumped out at me. Yeah. You open this government PDF and you're expecting, dry bureaucratic language.
Standard government speak.
Yeah. And instead you get hit with this wall of Silicon Valley buzzwords: Agile, DevSecOps, data mesh, even human-centered design. It reads like a wish list from a tech startup, not the Department of Defense.
And that contrast, that dissonance, that's the most important part of this whole story. It signals that the old way of doing government IT, it's dead.
The old way being what? Write a 1,000-page plan, wait 5 years.
And build something that's already obsolete the day it launches.
Yeah.
They are explicitly asking for an agile approach now.
Okay, let's stop there, because agile is a word that gets thrown around so much it almost loses its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But in this document, under Functional Area 1, which is program management, they don't just use the word. They demand adherence to the Agile Manifesto. For the Pentagon, that seems ambitious.
It's a huge cultural clash. The military, it runs on hierarchy. It's waterfall planning. Orders come down, actions go up.
Right, very rigid.
And the Agile Manifesto is all about iteration, self-organizing teams, responding to change instead of just following a plan. So they're asking a vendor to come in and basically impose this flexible mindset on a very rigid organization.
And they want program executive office support to do it, which is high-level stuff. But there was one line in there that I feel like it defines the whole struggle. They want the vendor to analyze the costs of organizational design decisions.
That phrase is so heavy, it really stops you in your tracks.
It sounds like corporate speak, but think about what they're asking. They want a price tag on their own bureaucracy.
It's self-awareness. They're asking, if we structure our teams in this traditional siloed way, how much money and time are we literally setting on fire? They want a vendor to quantify the friction of the organization itself.
That feels rare. Usually they just want you to do the work, not critique the building while you're fixing the plumbing.
Exactly. And that ties right into the communication part. They want impactful communication to leadership, no sugarcoating. They want someone who can walk into a room of generals and say, here's the risk, here's the bottleneck, here's what it's costing you.
Transparency.
Transparency is the new currency. And that leads right into the second area, which is where, the rubber meets the road, software development and sustainment.
This is the real tech-heavy part of the contract. And the big focus here is DevSecOps.
Yeah, and we hear that term a lot, but let's be specific. The old way was you build the software, then you throw it over the wall to the security team to lock it down.
Which is slow. And it breaks things.
It's terrible. DevSecOps means development, security, and operations are all happening at the same time continuously. Security isn't a gate at the end. It's baked into the code from day one.
It's automated.
Automated security, automated testing. The notice calls for CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. It means you're pushing small, safe updates all the time, maybe every week, instead of one giant, terrifying update a year that crashes everything.
But to do that, you have to deal with the ghosts of the past. They specifically call out the management of technical debt.
Oh, I love that they put this in. It's probably the most honest part of the whole document.
So for anyone who isn't a software developer, let's frame this. Technical debt isn't just old code.
No. Think of it like a high-interest credit card. You need to get a feature out the door fast, so you take a shortcut in the code. You hard code something you should have made flexible. You just borrowed time.
You got the feature out, but now you have this debt.
And you have to pay interest on that debt every single day in the form of bugs, slow performance, or just the fact that it's impossible to add new features later because the foundation is a mess.
So now imagine a government system that's been running for, 20 or 30 years?
The credit card is maxed out. They have layers of what we call spaghetti code that nobody understands anymore. So when they ask, how will you remediate technical debt? They're saying, we are drowning, help us.
They don't just want a new coat of paint. They want a full renovation.
The total gut job.
But speaking of the paint job, or the user interface, the part that really, genuinely shocked me was seeing human-centered design as a core requirement.
HCD, yeah. It's a huge signal.
It is. Because in the consumer world, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
If an app is confusing, you just delete it. But in defense, the user has no choice. They're ordered to use the system.
And historically, that meant usability was the absolute last priority. It works. Who cares if it takes 50 clicks to do one thing?
Right. But that has real consequences. If you're a logistics officer in a crisis trying to rush a shipment and you're fighting with confusing menus,
that creates friction. It increases what's called cognitive load. It makes the human think like the machine, not the other way around.
and the DSCA is admitting that bad design is an operational risk. They want UI design, usability testing. They want systems that actually work for the people using them.
A shift from just functional to usable. And to build it, they're looking at things like low-code solutions.
Low code is interesting. It's kind of like drag and drop app building, right?
Yeah, in a way. It lets you spin up simpler applications really fast without needing a whole team of engineers for every little tool. It fits that whole Agile theme of moving quickly.
Okay, so we have Agile management, secure software with a good UI, a plan to fix the old stuff. Now we get to the fuel for all of this.
Yep.
Functional area 3, data.
This is the pivot point for the whole thing. The document literally says the goal is to turn data into actionable insights and treat it as a strategic asset.
So data is no longer just the exhaust fumes from a process.
Exactly. And to do that, they're tossing out the old filing cabinets. They want data lakes, data warehouses, and a data mesh.
A data mesh. Okay, break that down for me, because
Yeah.
usually the government loves to centralize everything, put it all in one big bunker.
Right. And a data mesh is a totally different way of thinking. So a data warehouse is like a giant, perfectly organized central library. But there's only one librarian, and it takes forever to get anything.
Right.
A data lake is more like a swamp. You just dump everything in, and it's a mess to find anything useful. A data mesh is decentralized.
Like a federation instead of an empire.
Perfect analogy. Instead of one central team owning all the data, you let the different domains, logistics, finance, operations, own their own data as a product. But you create a mesh of standards and connections so they can all talk to each other securely.
So logistics can instantly see the finance data it needs without going through a central bottleneck.
Correct. It lets the data flow horizontally, and once they get that flow, they want to layer AI on top of it all. Machine learning, natural language processing, predictive modeling. It's all in there.
They want to stop just looking in the rearview mirror. Dashboards tell you what happened yesterday.
They want to know what's likely to happen tomorrow. If we approve this sale, what's the supply chain risk? They want to simulate the future to make better decisions now.
But, and this is a huge but, they aren't just saying go wild with AI. There's a very loud section on ethics.
Ethical and responsible data use. It's a core requirement.
And they specifically call out privacy regulations like CCPA and .GDPR.
Yeah, GDPR. And you have to pause on that for a second. The U.S. Department of Defense is asking vendors to comply with the European Union's main privacy law.
That seems weird. Why would the Pentagon care about a European law?
Because of the mission.
Yeah.
This is the Security Cooperation Agency. They work with partners. They handle data on foreign nationals. If they're reckless with that data, it's a diplomatic incident.
Trust.
Trust is the currency. And with AI, they know they can't have a black box making decisions. They need to be able to explain why an algorithm made a certain recommendation.
So we've got the tech stack. Agile, secure, user-friendly, ethical, intelligent. Now, what about the people? The vendor check. Because they had some questions in here that were clearly meant to weed people out.
Oh, yeah. The retention question was the sharpest one. They ask, what is your company's employee retention rate, and how do you attract and retain qualified personnel?
That feels like a direct shot at the old body shop contracting model.
It is. The government has been burned so many times. A company wins a contract, hires a bunch of people just to fill seats. The good ones leave after 6 months, and project stalls.
And you get more technical debt because the new person has no idea why the last person built something a certain way.
Exactly. So by asking about retention, the DSCA is saying, we don't just want your software. We want your culture. We want a stable partner.
They also asked for innovative approaches from other industries.
Bring us what you learned working for banks or big tech. We want that efficiency.
But there's one giant barrier to entry. You can be the most innovative company in the world, but if you don't have this one thing, you're out.
The security clearance.
Yeah.
You need a secret facility clearance at the time you submit your proposal.
And they explicitly say they will not sponsor clearances.
That's the hard gate. A facility clearance can take years and a lot of money to get, so if you don't already have one, you can't play. It narrows the field quite a bit.
It protects them from fly-by-night companies, but it also kind of limits the pool of innovation, doesn't it?
It's a trade-off. What you'll likely see are partnerships. A big defense prime who has the clearances teaming up with a smaller, more agile AI firm that has the tech.
And speaking of smaller firms, they do call out small businesses specifically.
Yes, 8A, Epshubzone, women-owned, all of them. They are looking to spread some of this money around.
But can a small business really handle a $500 million contract?
Not alone. But this is an IDIQ contract, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. Think of it like a big retainer. They'll pick a pool of vendors and then issue smaller task orders for specific jobs. So a small business might win a task order for just the UI design, for example.
It gives them flexibility. They don't have to define every single thing for the next 5 years right now.
Which goes right back to being agile.
And the timeline is aggressive. Award is anticipated by August 2026.
For a deal this size, an 8-month turnaround from responses to award is. That's light speed in government time. It shows you how urgent this is for them.
They want to start this August. A 5-year contract plus a 6-month option. This is a long-term commitment.
It is a foundational shift. They're not just patching a leak, they're replacing the hull of the ship while it's still at sea.
So when you step back from all of this, what's the real story here? What is the DSCA trying to tell the world with this document?
The story is that they're trying to cross a chasm. They're moving from an era where IT was just a utility, like electricity, to an era where IT is the mission. The data is the asset. The speed of software is the speed of national security.
It's a blueprint, really. Whether you're in defense or the private sector, this is how a huge legacy organization tries to survive the digital age.
They're identifying their debt, they're prioritizing their users, and they're demanding ethics. And they're putting $500 million behind it. Talk is cheap. That's a real budget.
You know, there's one image that stuck with me, the logo on the source material. It literally says Department of War. It's this old school, very stark heraldry.
A reminder of the institution's gravity.
And yet, right below that, they're demanding human-centered design and ethical data use. The contrast is just so striking.
It's the tension between the past and the future, right there on the page.
It really is. So I guess the thought I want to leave everyone with today is this. If the machinery of war, maybe the most rigid bureaucracy on Earth, is prioritizing user experience and data ethics for its back-end systems, what's the excuse for everyone else?
That's a good question. If they can pull this off, it sets a powerful precedent for the entire federal government.
A $500 million experiment. Yeah. We'll be watching to see who wins this thing in August. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.